Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Article 19(1)(a) guarantees the freedom of speech and expression to all citizens, but there are several laws that restrict free speech. So we began KYC or Know Your Constitution this week by telling you about these laws. Article 19(2) lists 8 grounds including state security, public order, decency, morality, contempt of court and defamation on which speech can be curbed. Citing these restrictions, several laws are used to restrict free speech. The law of sedition under section 124A of the Indian Penal Code is one such law. Bidar School for its anti-CAA play and the Mumbai student with the Free Kashmir placard. Another such provision is section 505 of the Indian Penal Code, which makes it a crime to publish or circulate any statement intending to scare people, inducing them to commit an offence against the state. The recent FIRs against several Kashmiri journalists charges them with this provision, along with the stringent Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, which is also increasingly being used against protesters and journalists. Another such provision is section 295A of IPC, which provides for a 3-year jail term for hurting religious sentiments. Several celebrities, including MS Dhoni, Salman Khan and Aamir Khan, have had to face cases under this provision, leading to the Supreme Court warning against its misuse in 2017. Interestingly, section 66A of the IT Act, which was struck down in 2015 by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional, is still sometimes used. As recently as February, the Jammu and Kashmir police charged those who used proxy servers to use social media with section 66A. Article 19(2) also lists defamation as one of the restrictions that can be placed on the freedom of speech and expression. In India, defamation has a remedy both in civil law and criminal law. While civil law for defamation is not codified as a law and depends on judge-made law, criminal law is governed by sections 499 and 500 of the IPC. Legal scholar Gautam Bhatia explains that the concept of criminal defamation has its roots in 17th century England, when insults could result in a physical duel between the parties. Public disorder was then usually compromised, prompting the authorities to begin prosecuting defamation as a criminal offence. The provision made its way into the IPC in 1860 and has refused to budge since. However, there has been a long-standing debate on whether criminalization of defamation is an excessive restriction on free speech. This contention was raised before the Supreme Court in Subramanian Swamy v. Union of India by Arvind Kejriwal, Rahul Gandhi, Subramanian Swamy and 21 others. Rejecting this assertion, the court in 2016 upheld the constitutionality of criminal defamation. It held that the right to reputation was a part of the right to life under Article 21. It then used the principle of balancing of fundamental rights to hold that defamation as a restriction to the freedom of speech and expression under Article 19 cannot be said to be an unreasonable restriction, as respect for the dignity of another is a constitutional norm. Now, April 28th marked the 44th anniversary of the infamous ADM Jabalpur judgment, and that's what we told you about next on KYC. It was on 25th June 1975 when then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi invoked Article 359 of the Constitution to impose a state of emergency in the country. Subsequently, thousands of her political rivals, including Jayaprakash Narayan, Morarji Desai, Atal Bihari Vajpayee and L.K. Advani, as well as journalists, were detained without trial under preventive detention laws. The President also issued an order suspending the rights of the citizens to approach the courts for enforcement of their fundamental rights under Article 21, that is the right to life and liberty. The matter reached the Supreme Court and the case, called ADM Jabalpur v. Shivkant Shukla, was heard by 5 judges: Chief Justice of India A.N. Ray and Justices H.R. Khanna, M.H. Beg, Y.V. Chandrachud and P.N. Bhagwati. The majority verdict held that when emergency is in operation, the rights under Article 21 would stand suspended. Justice H.R. Khanna, however, disagreed, an opinion which cost him his Chief Justiceship. The verdict resulted in the 44th Constitutional Amendment 1978 by the Morarji Desai-led Janata government, which asserts that Articles 20 and 21 cannot be suspended during an emergency. But it was only over 4 decades later, in the 2017 Right to Privacy judgment, that the Supreme Court called for striking down the ADM Jabalpur verdict. Out of a total of 104 amendments made to the Constitution, there was one on preventive detention laws that was never notified. And that's what we told you about next on KYC. Coming to power after the emergency imposed by Indira Gandhi was lifted, the Morarji Desai-led Janata government enacted the 44th Constitutional Amendment, undoing several changes made to the Constitution during the emergency. It also sought to amend Article 22 to bring about significant changes to the preventive detention law. It amended Clause 4 of Article 22 to reduce the maximum period of detention from 3 to 2 months and provide for the constitution of an advisory board on recommendations of the Chief Justice of the High Court. Currently, the provision does not mention the Chief Justice or his role in the advisory board. The amendment also removed Clause 7A of Article 22, which gives the Parliament the power to provide for circumstances under which a person can be detained for a period longer than 3 months without any recommendation of an advisory board. But despite the fact that the 44th Amendment received the President's assent on April 30th, 1979, subsequent governments never notified the amendments made to Article 22. This omission was taken note of by a Supreme Court Constitution bench in 1981 as well as a National Commission to review the working of the Constitution appointed by the Vajpayee-led NDA government, but to no avail. We also told you what the Constitution says on preventive detention laws. Article 22(3) of the Constitution says that if someone is arrested and detained under preventive detention laws, the basic protections against arrest and detention provided by clauses 1 and 2 of Article 22 do not apply. Clauses 4 to 7 of Article 22 then detail minimum criteria that any preventive detention law must satisfy. It must inform those detained with the grounds for detention, enable them to make representations against the detention, create advisory boards which must approve all detentions longer than 3 months, and fix a maximum period of possible detention. But who makes such preventive detention laws? Entry 9 of the Union List of the 7th Schedule empowers the central government to make laws in preventive detention for defence, foreign affairs or security of India. Entry 3 of the Concurrent List empowers both the central and the state governments to make preventive detention laws relating to state security, public order, or maintenance of supplies and services essential to the community. Currently, there are 4 central statutes that provide for preventive detention. 4 such laws have been passed and repealed over time. At the same time, states have different preventive detention laws, so most states actually have at least 5 different statutes operating at any given point of time that allow for preventive detention. This is Apurva Mandhani for The Print. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.